Okay, it is just 4:05. We're going to get this meeting started for the LSC. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's Thursday, February 19th, right? We do have quorum, so we're going to go for a roll call first, starting with Emery. Thank you. Or London.
London Robeson, LSC Student Rep.
Emery Matthews, LSC Student Rep.
Sarah Lovingood, Teacher Rep.
Amy Zemnick, Parent Rep.
Eric Cromer, Teacher Rep.
Amy Martin, Parent Rep.
Laura Yepes, Parent Rep and LSC Chair.
Leslie Gonzalez, Parent Rep.
Jeff Militante, Parent Rep.
Ashley Stapleton, Parent Rep.
Veronica Hurd, Non-Teaching Rep.
Now, Principal Steinmiller will be joining us. He stepped away because there was a lot of excitement, around the basketball team going to the finals. We'll probably explore more during our celebrations. But first, we want to put it out there for anyone who has public comment. Please come to the podium. You have 2 minutes to address the LSC. We can't reply or respond to any questions that you have, but everybody is welcome to participate. So is there anybody in the audience who wants to step up to the podium and give a public notice? Thank you.
I will give you when you have 30 seconds left.
Thank you so much. I'm Elena Fernando. I'm a part of the LPHS dance team. I've been on the team for 2 years now. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love my girls with my whole heart. But something that's been a big issue in our recognition and in our kind of achievements over the years is that we feel like we have not been recognized and supported the way that we believe we should. I have many emails here. I have Title IX laws and things that just say like we deserve the same treatment as boy teams and other teams here. We fight for gym space every single day. We practice in the cafeteria. We have been working really hard to improve our program, and I think it's improved tremendously even over the last year. We recently got third at state for our POM routine. Thanks. It was probably our biggest milestone yet, and we look to keep improving and go for a championship next year at ATA State. We got 10th in the nation this year, which is still very big for us. We recognize that there is a lot of there's not a lot of space and there's not a lot of anything for anyone here. We have so many programs that are so great too, but we just want to feel included and appreciated the same way. It's dangerous to dance. Thanks. It's dangerous to dance in the cafeteria. It's dangerous to dance somewhere where it's not permitted, where you can fall, where you can slip. Like we've had girls get hurt because there's like, it's so slippery when you dance. You can't go full out. You can't turn. You can't do aerials or tricks. So that's just all to say that we feel as though we don't get the recognition we deserve, and that we would like to talk more about it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Am I ready to go? Okay. Hello, my name is Morgan Forney. I am the coach of the dance team. I do want to reiterate that we had to spend over $5,000 on outside facilities for our team in order to just practice. We had a gym space last year, but we were kicked out of our space in order to accommodate the new wrestling team. And I just want to make sure that there's a conversation being had where we can secure gym space for next year. And I want to make sure that we can secure that this year, by the end of this year. And I would like to publicly say that I would like to have this put on the meeting agenda for the next meeting next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. Anybody else have public participation?
I'm also a coach of the Lincoln Park dance team. This is my first year as assistant coach, and coming in, I have loved being a member of the Lincoln Park community, but I think it is very important that these girls get the proper practice space that they deserve. Again, I know we kind of mentioned this earlier, but it is in Title IX that we need the same exact facilities, equal facilities to practice in as any other team in the school. And right now, I just feel like that's not being adequately met, unfortunately. As we mentioned, we were practicing in cafeterias, and there's nothing done to, I guess, make sure that it's cleaned up and safe and secure for our student athletes. And overall, again, tremendous. They hadn't made it to state in jazz or pom just last year, and this year they not only made it, but they medaled third place, which is a significant achievement. And that's another thing. We also have a packet of receipts if you guys would like to see it, but just we're trying to get recognition, and it hasn't really happened. And we're grateful for the school for supporting us in the capacity that it has. However, we just want to make sure that we continue to get that same recognition, such as basketball is clearly noted right now, which is great. Awesome. Thank God. Like, let's go Lincoln Park High School. But at the same time, like, we want our achievements celebrated just as much, just to keep the ball rolling with the dance team community and build it bigger in the Lincoln Park space. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to address the LSC?
Hi, I'm Molly. I also represent the Lincoln Park dance team. I would say I've been on this team for 2 years now. For me, it's really hard watching not just myself, but like every other person on the dance team be kind of like not demoralized, but like feel really sad when other teams get recognized, especially this morning when the boys got recognized for, that's a great accomplishment and we understand that. But, where's our accomplishment when we got third at state, or, when we went to nationals and got 10th in the nation? It's just like stuff like that feels like sometimes it's like, why do we even do it? Because it's like, not like it doesn't make us feel unworthy, but it makes our accomplishments feel less. And it's hard because these accomplishments, they mean so much to this dance team, and they mean so much to me.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, my name is Leslie Gonzalez. I am a cheer mom, and I do dabble here and there in the school. I feel really bad for you guys. I mean, we got third. Cheer got third in city, and I still haven't seen any recognition either. And I've sent emails with a picture, and it's like, boys, we always hear what the boys are doing, but what are the girls doing? And right now, the UIC Pavilion is a beautiful place. I wish you guys could have danced in the first or third quarter. I understand you guys are protesting. Good for you guys. I'm asked to make a list. Right now, the cheer team doesn't have a coach. We haven't had a coach since before holiday, winter break. And the girls have not been told anything, but it is on us parents to tell them. And it's like, not the administration, which you think the administration would have said to them. But as volunteers and parents, we have to tell our kids what's going on with the cheer coach. Still missing equipment. Some girls are still missing shoes that they bought. We can't find our pink poms. It's a bit chaotic. I do give the school a lot of grace because I know everybody's trying to do their best and work and all that. But it's becoming a problem. And our girls were practicing in the hallway. Like, I get competition season happen, but there's no space. Everybody is fighting for space, but it is becoming an issue, and it is becoming dangerous. And yeah, so that's all I have to say. I have a lot more. Thank you, guys.
Do we have anyone else in the audience?
Hi, sorry about this super quick, but I'm also Emily Johnson. I'm also representing the Lincoln Park dance team, and I just wanted to, quickly reiterate that with the cafeteria and gym space, I think the gym space is what we're most looking to really get, because it's just really hard going after school practice and having to practice some nights till 7:15 because it will take time to clean up the cafeteria, and I've put up tables, I've mopped the floors to make it clean for us so we can practice, and it just feels unfair. It's just this is not our jobs to do, and it would just be really helpful to have fairness with the space, and also us going out of our way to have morning practices and practices over breaks that we have for school, so we're able to get actual gym space, because we don't get full practicing when we're not in that gym space, since we have to stage and everything as we're competing at other schools. So just making sure that we don't have to fully go out of our way and have all these other practices also, because we're not getting space, and just that being unfair. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Just the gym space is something we really need. So yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia Mento. I'm also a part of the LP dance team. I just want to kind of add on to what Emily said about the cafeteria and gym space, and really reiterate that we really do love and appreciate our custodial staff, and they have made an effort to help us, but because we have such a big school, it takes a lot of time for that to happen. So we do still have to put in the work to put up the tables and mop the floors, and by the time they get to us, it's kind of almost too late. We've already been practicing on the same not so clean floor, and it's really dangerous for us to be doing tricks and all that stuff. And there's also just not a lot of space. We have a team of 18 girls, and with the small cafeteria that we have and limited space, that's not a lot of space for all 18 of us to be able to dance freely, full out. It's really not great for us right now. And especially since in all the past years that we've been here, we have been able to get gym space, and this was the year that we got kicked out for a new boys team, really doesn't feel equal to us. I also would like to talk about the fundraising that we have had to do for this team. Our parents are amazing, and they do almost all of the fundraising for our team, and we don't get to recognize that a lot, and we don't get recognition from the school for all of the fundraising that we do, and the school also doesn't really help us that much with it. We have to do almost all of it, and I do understand yes, it is a school sport, so we should have to fundraise, but we shouldn't have to do everything, so I do think that we should get more, at least, help with fundraising and more recognition for all of the fundraising that we do for our team. And yeah, I just think we've put in a lot of work as a whole and as a team, and I think that we should be recognized more for that also, compared to how all the other teams have been recognized for all their accomplishments, and ours just hasn't been to the same equal level as theirs. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for all of your public comments. Definitely, while we can't respond, we're taking all notes, and appreciate everybody coming to the podium and giving us your comments and your feedback. I'm going to take a look to see if there's anybody online who wants to participate in public comment. If you do, please raise your hand so we can acknowledge you and put you off of mute. I'm not seeing anybody with a raised hand, so we're going to go into starting our LSC meeting. I do want to recognize some other folks who did join us. We have Paul Kendrick.
Paul Kendrick, Community Representative.
I don't know, Leslie, if you had a chance to. You did? Okay, remember. Principal Steinmiller is still not with us right now, but he will be joining us once they're done with whatever they're doing in the hallway. But we're going to get going with the LSC. We do have minutes that were submitted from last month's meeting, I think hopefully everybody had a chance to review the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the January meeting minutes from last month? Amy
I
motions.
second.
Leslie seconds. All those in favor of approving the January LSC meeting minutes, say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed, say nay or raise your hand. All right, so that passes unanimously. We will post those meeting minutes on the website so everyone can review those at their leisure. Also, we want to get into celebrations for Lincoln Park High School. Does anybody have any celebrations that they'd like to bring forward?
I'd like to celebrate the cheer on January 23rd. They got third in city. So, cheer.
Yay.
Hey.
We want to celebrate the LPHS girls dance team. I saw videos from your guys' performance and it was really good. And you guys go to Florida like every single year, and just like me and London think that you guys are amazing.
Yeah, and I already know.
Yeah, we know.
This is a constant freshman year.
Awesome. That's great. Any other celebrations?
I think we should celebrate
Yeah,
the boys
we should-
basketball team.
Absolutely.
It's not their fault.
Well, I want to say something, and I don't know if this is the right time or place, but and I'm not responding directly to them, but 4 or 5 years ago, we did give $20,000 to the dance team to go to Florida. So I know that that isn't now, but I think it's important that people understand like there is more to this, and I agree that they need space and everything, but and not everybody has the longevity in that context, but we did years ago give $20,000 to get them to Florida, and that was money that was taken. And there was a lot of pushback then. Why were we giving money to the dance team and not other sporting teams? So, and maybe Dr. Steinmiller remembers more of the context of that, but I just want to put that out there for everybody, because I think when we look at a situation in isolation of what's happening just now, and again, I'm not saying that what's happening now is okay, but when we don't look at the longevity of what we have provided for different teams in the school, we lose some of that perspective. So, again, not sure if that's the right place.
I would just quickly, again, I don't think this helps you in any way, but like it is very impressive to see like some of our students like come up to the podium and be like very eloquent and like not just come like you have a right to gripe and be frustrated and angry, and like, but you came across in a way that was like, hey, we understand there's some issues and blah blah blah, but like you shouldn't have to do that. So like it is up to us, the adults, to fix these things, and we will do our best to do that. So thank you, all of you.
Great timing.
Sorry for the delay, but the ABC News is here to do a story on our basketball team. But I did make sure to our CPS Communications interview our students and film that's required. So it's got approval. It was good, and we're good now. So our story is taking place in the news about the championship for the first time ever. The news part
Sort
is kind of a neat part to add.
No, that's great. We were just finishing up celebrations, so thanks for adding that. And then also want to acknowledge Principal Steinmiller is now part of the meeting, so it's in the meeting notes. Thanks. Moving on to Friends of Lincoln Park High School. If you have any meeting notes, did you guys meet on Tuesday?
So we actually, well, I shouldn't say we because I wasn't there, but they met on Thursday yesterday, but since we don't have a coach, I stepped in to cheer, so I wasn't there yesterday, so I apologize for not having any notes.
Well, I know that Tuesday was a day off for professional development, so next week.
I will definitely upload the minutes.
I do know that some people are also pressed for time, and So we wanted to move around the committee reports. Do we want to do the principal report after committee reports so we can make sure we get some items? Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and let's go into committee reports, and that way those really can step away, and we will have more to report. We're going to go first off into budget committee. If that's good with everybody. Let me pull up the budget. Here we met actually on Wednesday, yesterday. No, it's weird. Okay, so we talked about budget transfers, and let me. Yeah. Okay, we're going to bring up the budget tracker. This includes everything, all the financials for Lincoln Park High School. So we did have some funds that, just to kind of clean up some records, but OST funds being transferred to open POs, fund clubs, transportation, etc. We did have 2 items on the budget tracker that do need LSC approval. That means that they're over a $10,000 threshold. It's line 98. There is a transfer of $22,862.95. This money is coming from a position pointer line to clear a negative and replenish buckets. And then just to explain, a position pointer line is basically additional dollars that we have in our coffers from, let's say, a reduced salary or reduced supply.
Salary would have been lower than it previously anticipated. Somewhat, but
And basically what we're doing is we're clearing negative, meaning that there are some additional costs that came up that we need to rectify or reconcile, as well as also to replenish some funds that we transferred out of our Facilitron rental account. So that's one item that needs approval. And then the second line that needs approval is $11,511.54. It's rental funds used to pay for science department supplies. So we have departments order materials for the school year, usually happens in summer, but for certain departments like the science department, they order twice in the second semester so that they can get items like the live specimens that they need for dissection and other things in their classes. So those 2 items do need to get approved by the LSC. Do I have a motion to approve the first item, which is the $22,862.95 for the clearing of a negative and replenishing the Facilitron rental funds? Amy motions to approve. Seconded by Mr. Cromer. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed say nay or raise your hand. Seeing as there is no opposition and everybody voted in favor of it, that passes unanimously. The second item that needs approval is the $11,511.54. These are again funds from the Facilitron rental account to pay for science department supplies. Anyone want to put forth that motion? Ashley? And then anybody want to second that motion? Seconded from Sarah. So all those in favor say aye or raise your hand. Anyone opposed say nay or raise your hand. All right, that motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to fundraisers. So there is going to be a performance for the SpongeBob musical. And for that performance, there's a few fundraisers to raise funds for the theater group as well as to pay for the performance. They are going to be selling gift baskets, tickets, concessions. There's going to be costs for taking nice photos. They're going to be selling flowers and also selling shirts. So there's 6 fundraisers for this performance. We do need to approve all of these fundraisers. Do I have a motion here from the LSC to approve the fundraisers to support the SpongeBob performance? Move to approve all the fundraisers. All right. Anyone want to second that? All right. That's coming from Ebony. So Emery. All those in favor of the SpongeBob performance fundraiser, say aye or raise your hand. Anyone opposed, say nay or raise your hand. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. And then moving on to annual student fee collection, it's a fee of $450 per student for the school year. We collected an additional $17,912 in the month of January. To date, which is fantastic. To date, we've collected $412,000. And of that, 44,000 were from previous school years. So we're collecting even back pay for other school years, which is great. I want to say that we are 60% of our goal, which we're hoping to raise about close to $500,000 on student fees this year. So we're getting there slowly but surely, and a lot of it has to do with the communication strategy, which I really appreciate that the administration is doing a really great job of following up with families, coming up with payment plans, as well as just making them aware that there's outstanding balances on their escrow account. So thank you for that.
I have a quick question about that. Are we not able to withhold like a Chromebook if someone hasn't? Because they do that at other places, or they say they're going to.
CPS has sent out very clear communication to administrators. By no means are they supposed to withhold graduation, diplomas, or anything from students. It is very clear that that will lead to potential discipline. So, because I do know of other places that do these things, that also gets escalated to the district, who can send us those emails because people are doing these things. Yeah, I mean, we can talk in this high level, but we can't use any language such as any restricting anything. That's just not. It's not kind of the point to it. What we are seeing more of, even though we haven't received some of these funds from students, we do have a large number of families who are in payment plans right now that are trying to work it out. So. That's something that's kind of really new, of seeing as many plans as we have in place. And the number is growing. I think from my last email I sent out, we probably gained 20, 30 more people with plans. It's just a lot of people aren't in positions to be able to pay those funds. I am also getting some, not a lot, but a handful, I would say, of pushback of public education. I refuse to pay. And I also understand that perspective, but we need those funds to be able to do what we're doing. So I've got a few of those. We have a process to take note of the responses and support the best we can.
Any other questions on student fee collection? I also just want to state that we do have some movement going on with the parking lot. So we're going to move on to the rental income that we're receiving. From Facilitron, when we rent out our gym space, for instance, we've collected $15,207.80 currently in our bank account. The cell phone tower remains at $326.33. We have from vending machine sales $322.13, and then parking lot income right now still stands at $0. However, we do now have a QR code, so folks can pay $10 to pay or to park in our parking lot. It's going through, I think, the district, so they will then send us the funds probably in a month from now.
Yeah, it is through ePay. It's clunky. We've had to really push some things even to get a parking lot tab added to it. So it's not user friendly. In the future LSC meeting, I will share out some alternative options that I'm working through, but I want to have a clear layout of what that could look like. We're working with getting some quotes from like Parking Box, for example, to do like you would see at a traditional parking lot space. And we're kind of evaluating pros and cons of things such as having arms that limit the access to it. But there's also cons of who's monitoring on Saturday at 12 o'clock when people are trapped on the arm breaks. So there's things that we're trying to just go through of solutions. Also, just a kiosk option where there isn't any arms. So I'm working with our engineer on that. It is a bit time sensitive because we know in around end of April, we will have our lot redone. And so if they are going to have to run in lines, we want to do it with a tear of our lot. And that's easier to dig the lines if we needed to have something towards the entrance. But I intend to have kind of a more outline presentation of the cost, whatever groups I'm friends of, if they could help. But that's something that we're working on to try to make it a more user-friendly experience for our students, or anybody using it, sorry.
Laz, who you talk to, they also have like software and stuff that you could use. Like you don't have to run your bot, but you could like be a user of their software.
And then they can, and then on top of that, if we notice that people are, we just let them know and they'll set up a timeline next week. Busy.
Okay. They can so we can, as we kind of lay out different types of, the benefit of like the arm thing is also actually for our staff when they're coming in during the day to use it. So I want to see what those kind of options look like, but maybe you and I can set up a separate conversation and really kind of talk about some of those other groups.
Yeah, the issue with the last when I was talking to him is that now we're looking at a tax issue. Because even though we're a nonprofit, we're a school. They want someone's got to pay the mayor, so you know you're paying taxes. You have to pay.
Got it.
So impossible.
So we'll look at that option with some of these others and see what we can do to get the most profit from it. Even if it means we have to put some money down for something that works, but if we're able to get 95% of it, they will not let us adjust the e-pay. In fact, I had a big argument with them back. I got numerous emails, but we wanted to have just a landing page that was e-pay, license plate thing, and they refused, saying they had, because I think basically we have a basic package of eBay, the district. I don't know. There's other things we need to push, but I think if you and I meet, maybe even we can work with try to real estate, maybe to leverage.
Like when you click on the link when we open stuff, like all that stuff is built in automatically, and it only goes to you can choose the parking and then put your name and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe put a laminated page taped to each sign explaining how to do it. You know, until at least it gets like.
Yeah. But baby steps. I mean, any dollar we get is more than we have before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the final. I think we got the final draft. Zach can look at it. Zach is tied up right now for this week and next week, but and I think we're moving.
That's amazing. But is it just the individual sports are paying for it? Because I feel like yesterday my son had a track meet and I know they had a bus, but I'm assuming like all the money we have to give to the track we pay for.
Yes. Yeah.
There are buses being paid for by the sport.
We just, and these are continual conversations they can have with some other principals at Lane and others of just the lack of funding really to support athletics. Lane spends over $350,000 on buses. That's really all they can. They're using every dollar. They put tons of money to that. We don't have funds for for athletics in that way. You know, but we do spend a lot on athletics because even right now the building is open for practice, and that's going to cost us, you know, $1,200 every day we're open. We have to pay security pass $330 to be here, you know, and you have to anytime we open on. I mean, I open the door on Monday for the team to come in and practice and stuff like that. But anytime we are open beyond hours, there is a cost. So that's where our money is going to. Keep our building open so anybody can do things, but teams have to fund their own buses. The only buses that we are funding are for like you go postseason, you're going down to Springfield. We're prepared for that. Luckily, the championship we have tomorrow is at UIC. So yeah, each team, they choose to use buses. They've been raising funds for it, and they're making it work. That's pretty much all teams. We have a lot of teams.
So unfortunately, I remember the last time we talked, we were getting approved for the fundraiser, but it wasn't really a success because a few other clubs made the exact same fundraiser. So we're hoping that maybe for another holiday that we can do another fundraiser. So Patrick's Day. Other than that, we're just trying to get a little bit more involvement for our Student Voice Committee because we do have a consistent group that comes. However, we are kind of trying to look for who's going to continue the club after we go. We are seniors. And we did attempt to sell the candy grams. However, like London said, people already had theirs bought or just it was kind of like too late. But Mr. Steinler, you were out when we were discussing this, but we had the girls dance team come in to acknowledge their accomplishments when they were at nationals. So they placed 10th in the nation and they got 3rd overall, I think. So I guess that's been a pretty big thing for student life and also like the boys basketball team. But I wanted to highlight the girls.
Promote attendance and not being late to class instead of just trying to always take something away. So we did spend a good portion of our discussion kind of brainstorming some ideas around that. Anything else there?
We do have like our current attendance rate, which is 86.54%, which compared against previous years is still higher. So that's great news. But other than that, I think you pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah. I felt like there was a good stat around tardies too or something. I don't know what it was.
What was the
86.54%.
But what is the goal? Isn't the goal like
highest our school has ever had is ever 2%. Like, so I actually have a long-term goal of
We should at least get to there.
So I would love to be at 92%, and I think there's some things that we can do differently. But even at our network level, these are some major conversations that we're having at all school, including selective enrollment. Just the shift in chronic truancy, tardy, just everywhere. Really trying to think creatively on how to do that. So schools in the past who also have been around 90, 95, 96, 97% selective enrollment are hitting 80s.
Is that because there's not as many repercussions for when you are absent? Like teachers are like, oh, you can turn in that assignment whenever, as long as you get it in before the end of the quarter.
I don't know. I know some schools specifically, especially with a high amount of students whose families are immigrants, are not going to school. That's a shift here. I mean, even we are seeing where there's some students here, the percentage of just aren't coming. So I mean, even while that is still happening from a data standpoint for our school, we're still seeing higher rates. I mean, I'd be actually curious to see what that would have been had that not been the data, right? There's also things that impact. There's a lot of conversations going, but sometimes students just aren't coming to school. I mean, at all. Not just skip. It's not skipping. They're just not coming. Part of it's mental health, and it becomes where even parents are just like they're just not getting out of bed, and that's it. And there's usually something associated with if somebody's not laying out of bed. There's more to that, right? I'm not trying to make light of that, but there's just a lot more of those kind of things going on. I think post COVID.
Yeah, I feel like I have a friend who's a director at Compass, the mental health place up north, and she says they have a lot of school refusal kids that are in their program.
Yeah, I mean, we have really great social workers, but I think a clear indicator of it is going from 1.5 social workers my first year here to 5. We have 5 social workers, and they're working their butts off. I mean, they have large caseloads and are having amazing impact in supporting our students. Amazing impact supporting our students. But I could tell you, we could use more social workers. I mean, it's just I think that need is becoming more systemic, district, nationwide.
I mean, you guys were talking about what penalties they have, on carrots. What is it that we can offer them? If like a student makes the whole quarter with no absences whatsoever.
Yeah,
we
did some brainstorming around like celebrations. There used to be like a weekly drawing for students who had like perfect attendance the week before, made it to all of their classes, and it was just like a random drawing. So it wasn't like a huge like cost for the school because it was like random rewards. But we also brainstormed around giving some sort of certificate, whether it be like physical or even digital, something that like states like their attendance rate, which could be something that could go on college applications, job applications, those sorts of things. Like those sorts of positive acknowledgments, I think can be really helpful. So we talked about some of those things. We haven't committed to anything yet, but like I think we're trying to explore some of those possibilities
I think
too.
Miss Theus is going to look at her Dunkin' and Starbucks connections to see what donations we can get, because I feel like that's what is one common thing that all kids spend money on, and I think the school probably does a lot of business at the Starbucks on Armitage.
I think that's why more keep popping up.
Right. Yeah, all of them. But yeah, there was, what was the other point we were talking about? Starbucks, digital. Oh, I just said that we couldn't make them like public announcements, because I know my kids would be so embarrassed if they were rewarded for their 100% attendance publicly at school. I'd be like, they don't have 100% attendance. But if they did, I know my kids are always like, it's embarrassing.
No, but I hear. I actually think incentives are a big thing, and really for us to plan out even more and cost-effective ones of them. We've been looking into also even like the silent dances or whatever things, and just just a bunch where it's still a cost, but like you could do that in the mall, and I would love to see like 1,000 students doing that in the mall. It would be hilarious. I would probably we could probably charge parents to watch students do it.
Fundraiser.
You know what?
Yeah.
One thing we talked about, and I swear this happened when my older son was here, but this happened like towards the end of the year. They had, I swear, food trucks that came to the mall where students could go out at lunch and get food. But I thought Miss Theus thought that wasn't allowed.
It's not allowed anymore. So we're not allowed to do things like that when lunch is served. It's a state policy. So when food is served during the day, we're not allowed to bring.
What if a food truck randomly parked on Armitage, like right by the school?
So after school, we can do things like that. You know, I mean, there's stuff.
Ice cream. Everybody, you know.
Oh, yeah.
There's things that can be done of just even having groups come out. And I know that this has done that in the past for some of our events, like the back to school bashes and kind of like our acceptance days and things. We've done a variety of different things, but I do. I must say I appreciate, especially the two of you guys, thinking through these things. So one of the goals I obviously want to see is what do some things really even look like as we engage in CIW process, which I'll talk about later, and some other stuff to kind of continue with that. So I won't say too much because that's more of my principal's report, but
okay.
Yeah.
What's that? Summarize that.
You should be receiving teachers, staff to reach out to everybody who's received a batch or teachers to do with looking for all the questions for that. And then so yeah, so that basically
Engage technology to send the survey out for Mr.
So the teachers that are, we were just told these are the teachers that we talk to. Right?
Oh yeah, I guess new parents probably don't know the process.
So, okay, so we do a couple of things. We have 2 surveys that go out. One to parents, one to parents. There's 2 separate surveys that are taken from so that's one support.
Input to the process.
And then we have the teacher conversations, which will have the FLT, ILT, department chair, security, the whatever. And then we ask that each member of the LSC students talk to the teachers. Just another one.
So I mean, so like when we call the teacher going, hey, what are you doing? We have that. They're doing.
We're
that.
going to send you an email that we will send to them that says, this is what we do.
Part of our role is evaluating the principal, and we're going to ask, we would like to set up a time to meet with you. They don't have to, but we encourage it. And then we evaluate him, and 4 different domains. We'll provide you with the email that says these are the domains we'll be evaluating him on. And then we'll just ask you to record, like written, what was said. If you can disguise it, great. If not, we will make it anonymous. So people won't know who said what. We'll do our best to disguise it. And then we'll have a Google folder that will have all the materials. Everybody will be asked to review the materials. We'll have our first meeting where we'll review everything. We'll score Dr. Steinmiller based on the survey. So that's, I think the first meeting was April. Yeah, the first April 9th. So we'll meet in that meeting. You'll have been expected to have reviewed everything at that point. and we'll start scoring Dr. Steinmiller. Then he gives us his evaluation, so he'll have given us his evaluation before then. Have a chance to review that. We'll score him. Then we meet with him. Right. So that's the one we'll have to change. If we still haven't finished scoring after the April 9th meeting, we'll have to meet after this closed session LSC meeting. We do need a quorum at those meetings. So if you cannot be at those meetings, please let us know. And they do last. So while we will do our best to keep to the time frame of 2 hours, sometimes they go over, and this is something that we have to do. We can't not finish it, not complete it. It's part of the job that we're tasked with as members of the LSC. It's one of our main jobs, yes. And it does take a substantial amount of time and discussion. Then we provide Dr. Steinmiller with the scores and also a written feedback and evaluation. He has the opportunity at that follow-up meeting, either on the 23rd, not on the 23rd, we'll figure that date out. He'll have the opportunity to kind of make his case if he feels like some of the scores are not fair. Then we have a discussion and say, do we want to change the scores or not change the scores? We can do whatever we choose to. Then we vote on the final evaluation in May. We'll vote at the May meeting. That is just we approve the evaluation or we don't. We do have to approve the evaluation. So if if the vote is not going to pass, then we have to go back and revise the evaluation until it will have enough votes to be approved. So you can't not approve an evaluation. It has to be approved. Doesn't mean we just have to agree that supermajority of us approve the evaluation. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So is that clear? Anyone else? No, we're going to meet April 9th, which is not a traditional LSC meeting. And then if we need more time, we'll meet after that LSC meeting. My hope is that we won't. That's the goal. But I just want to make sure that if we do need more time, we have time. And that won't be 2 hours. That will be wrapping up what we didn't wrap up in the meeting before. And I think that I've learned after doing this several times, hopefully, how to be as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. And for the students, if you could just be at that first meeting for like 15 minutes, just April 9th. Yeah, just to give us your perspective on it.
Are you guys going to see?
She said she saw.
Yeah, just and just as an FYI, so we're I don't count towards quorum, neither do the students. So it is everybody's. So we need to maintain. That's where the quorum has to happen. I do want to say I really appreciate the structure for this. I think it's really. I like that the dates are set well in advance. I see a timeline of it. It's meeting that May first. I was seeing that. I gave you the feedback, but I just want to share it here and see. That's helpful for me because I already know every date in my calendar to send you the feedback, right, that you need from me. So it's really nice to see this layout and how concise it is and meeting the expectation. So I appreciate it. I really welcome this feedback.
Hi, everybody. I know we already gave out some kudos, but again, amazing basketball game last night. We're aiming for a huge crowd tomorrow night. So put out the word, hoping to, sell out with tickets. And we have some cheerleaders coming to perform. So anyway, it should be amazing. And then state playoffs for the boys follow starting next week. We talked about the dance team, amazing third place performance in state. Competitive cheer team, third in city. Our IHSA chess team continues to kill it. So they placed 24th out of 128 teams in the state tournament last weekend. So really impressive. Let me see. One of our boys bowlers competed in the state finals and finished 30th out of 150. So just some really impressive performances. And that's just our winter sports. So also really proud of the wrestling team, and thanks to the coaches who really gave it a great inaugural season with kids coming out, none of whom had ever wrestled before, and won some medals and just, put us on a path to a sustainable wrestling team going forward. We are launching spring sports, as you can imagine. So we're deep into the mechanics and logistics for tryouts, which start next Monday, believe it or not, with girls softball, which starts a week before most sports. And then the following week really is when most of the action happens. We've got 11 spring teams. As a reminder, we've added girls badminton as a competitive team this year. So 11 sports, a lot going on. Tryout information has been featured in the Roar and the daily announcements. I think Ms. Theus will send out a constant contact communication as well on the marquee. So hopefully everyone is aware of what's going on. And all of our coaching roles are filled for spring. So right now, just focusing on a few openings we have for next fall. Any questions about sports? For spring? What's missing? Anything? No. For spring. Yeah, there are several for fall that we're obviously working on. So, yeah, any questions? The huddle camera has been great for those who can't make it. I'm trying to get the data on how many folks viewed it on Huddle last night, but it's been a nice.
Trying to make it work.
Didn't work?
Just like spun.
Mm.
I was able to user error.
No,
on my phone.
no.
I
You know,
clicked on the
the
link.
last time it spun for me the game before, but then when I refreshed, it did work. So. I usually see the clips and such like published a day afterwards, so I'm not exactly sure, but we can find out. Okay, in terms of clubs, we have our second semester first ever Clubapalooza tomorrow. So in this room, there will be at least 20 clubs who have volunteered to show up. So it's going to be a little hot and tight, but Veronica and I will be setting that up in the morning. So I think that's just a way to, get some momentum for some of the clubs, introduce some of the new clubs, and just refresh everyone's memory about what is offered in terms of after-school clubs. This will be during the lunch periods, so it'll be from 3rd through 7th. We'll add 7th, and students know they can only show up during their lunch period, and the exhibitors only show up for their lunch. So the kids rotate in. And then at least there will be some blank tables with exhibit materials when the kids can't be here in person. Yes, I think we're getting that sorted and communicated, so they're not missing out on that. Space is just, it's tough to find a public space. It's not already taken, so. Do you want me to also, Laura, cover fundraising while I'm up here? Any other questions about clubs or extracurriculars? Okay. Fundraising. So I wasn't at the meeting either last night due to the games. So, but I know the gala is underway since I'm helping with donations and such. But I don't have an update either on anything else that is going on there. I can tell you boosters, we have a meeting tonight, so I'll get an update on what's going on with the scholarship fund that boosters is preparing to present at some point soon. I do know that Super Bowl squares were a success, sold out, at a nice little local event where they chose the names and the numbers, which was, I think, kind of fun as a community building event. And of course, all of our teams, specifically all the spring sports teams, are fundraising as needed to pay for their equipment or celebrations, etc. I believe we already mentioned the fundraising that Drama Boosters is doing to support around the musical. We did, by the way, get I don't know if you saw the Alderman's newsletter, if you subscribe, but the SpongeBob poster flyer was in there, which was nice. And then monetizing the building continues to be an ongoing conversation, not just the parking lot, but the classrooms and buildings themselves. And I think that's all I have. So especially during the summer, trying to use the space that we have to continue to raise money for LP. So talking to the park district about some things there.
Yeah, I've been in touch with like a organization, a religious organization that wants to use our auditorium on Sundays.
Mhm.
You know, that could be where they're out on Sundays as a space. We're just anything. We're just trying to, like, there's some groups that honestly just want to do some things. Their birthday in our gym, all right? You want to rent it for 4 hours? Fine. Whatever. We're trying. Veronica's, I think, on half of these communications. And yeah. Well, no, we have actually in end of July, beginning of August, we have an alumni group that try to organize things every year to welcome alumni in. So that we're working on that. We don't charge for that, obviously, but any other ways we can, we're trying.
As we do that, like, is there a way to ensure that we're not like penalizing student groups ahead of monetizing the events or monetizing the gym space? So for example, like, we have X number of sports who get X number of contact days throughout the summer, and just kind of ensuring they have that space. I think that would be one pushback I would have to make sure we're doing that.
And for the gym space, like, when we see the people doing kind of the requests for it, even with Chicago Sports and Social, they've been very flexible. We have championship, it goes back. Like, it should not. Really, it's more after school hours. Things going on. We had we've had a productive work with the park district, because obviously the park district also has some financial needs. So they're trying. We've had kind of a supportive way in which they can utilize some of our spaces. We can utilize their spaces in a way, but even they're trying to make money off of their spaces as well. But they've been flexible to make sure our teams can have access to it. So yeah, we're not going to limit. That's also where we want. We have a lot of volleyball wants to do a camp. So we want to make sure that they have those experiences too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to sit down tomorrow and talk about the summer camps, paid summer camps, other things. What does that look like for the 3 months that most people are in here?
Yeah, wasn't there like a basketball one last summer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to do more of that.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make connections with our elementary feeder schools and community to have community-based programs.
Yeah. Sure.
We didn't have a meeting this Monday because we didn't have school. The general, we are getting a new custodial manager, which is great. So I believe they've been hired and I should be meeting them at the Monday meetings to help support our school. The more regional person who's had to cover and do that work, and have been working in liaison with Ms. Hurd to make sure we get the supports we need from a custodial standpoint. We have done an audit of some of the temperatures just because the temperatures are inconsistent. And especially on going through all especially the main building, there's some things that are going to be some bigger capital improvements that have to happen. I am not an engineer, so I can't tell you what an actuator or whatever it is, but there's going to have to be some changes to each room on the north side of the building. The south side, they've actually made some adjustments already. So basically, to adjust the room right now, they have to stick shivs. That's the appropriate sticks, not shivs, like splints. I don't know, yeah, into the things to make it pry open. And, they have to manually go in and basically adjust the metal with wood planks or things, boards. And so they are trying to adjust the rooms. There are inconsistencies. Some rooms are hotter, some are colder. The range is 68 to 75, which there's also how you would want it to be. We're going to keep working through it. Freshman building requires major work. And so for the major, it can be set at imagine it's one room. Freshman, think of it that way. Freshman building is a single room. You set it at 72, that's the only temperature that can go out. And so if you set it at 72, that's fine. However, each room, some are in sunlight, some are not. Some have different airflow. And so while it's pumping out 72, one room could be 60 something, and the other, so there's no way to regulate it. So we are working through that and pushing that for capital to get that adjusted. Miss LP is still cleaning the hallways. She's doing an awesome job. Her evaluations are going great. Ms. Veronica keeps giving her high regards, so she's passing her. No, it's neat to see have that kind of support and resource. We are pushing again to get our parking lot resurfaced as soon as they open up shop to be able to do so. We want to make sure we get it done as soon as possible. It's about $300,000 that is the cost of resurfacing. It's not redoing as in a complete dig down. That would be millions of dollars. But it's not all-wheel drive. I think that's going to allow us also to number some of that stuff. We have talked about earlier about some of the, we did have a rodent issue, and we had some other issues with roaches at a certain point that we had to process through. Every time we have a meeting on Monday, I ask when was the last time we had a sighting, and we haven't had any for an extended period of time. But it is something that I will keep on the facilities check-in just to make sure we don't have issues. I think the most recent thing we had was a mouse that got out. If you leave food out, mice, they can get through it. Right. So, but that was a single issue that I can recall on that standpoint. We still are pushing to make sure that when there is snow, that the paths are covered. This is something that's also part of the union PPC agenda, just because vendors are supposed to do a certain portion of the areas, and that we have it outlined. The document they had didn't make sense. So I met with the facilities manager. We outlined everything so they knew what they were supposed to cover. This is a district-wide issue. This isn't single to our school. But vendors are not meeting by any means, but to the props to our engineering and custodial team, they're making it happen. And so that is something actually that they are plowing, but they can't, like the sidewalks and things, the little machine thing they have. The vendor tried to take credit for it once, and that didn't. So that was our team that did it, not them. But they tried to say they did. So it's a big pushback. This is also something that I think the union is exploring, pushing back on what is the CTU of why is this be addressed. It's just it's not quality work, and it doesn't have to be this bad. But again, locally, all we can control is our team. Our team is doing an awesome job and making sure that students are safe. So, in fact, let us run it. It lets us figure it out. So that's in short the update.
When you guys research tearing up the trees or stuff like that.
I don't believe so. We're going to ask more about the scope of work. I don't have a scope of work for what 300,000 entails. Like what I would also like, what I like to even have them push is there's a green space in the far end where you could add another row of 10 to 12 spots. I would like that's ours. That's school property. Like to me, I would like that to be included. So we're going to try to push that. But again, I don't. $300,000 seems relatively inexpensive for like tearing out things like that. I don't see that. Neither does the engineer. He's not anticipating that's what it is, but he's going to try to like see what we can get away with. Even if it means turning that green space in the very back into where there's not a curb, but where we can at least utilize that part. It may make it a little more ugly, but it's spaces that we can use. So.
Are there any capital or deferred maintenance projects scheduled for this summer?
The big capital push right now is with the heat and stuff to get the things updated on this side of the building and the freshman building. Those are the two big ones. I don't have a designated timeline for that. No, I'm realistic. It won't happen this year, and I'd be surprised, honestly. This year, having this side, the thing that needs to happen to the town, I do think that will happen this year. The whatever needs to be adjusted, so you're not putting the splits or whatever in. That I do anticipate happening because they actually did part of our building already. This is 150 built. That is a piece of junk. It there are parts that building will go down ever before this one does. When it rains and our gym floor, our above ground pool, which is the roof, it rains, there'll be a room, I kid you not, on the other side of the building in which it'll leak. We have all sorts of issues with it. We've had a room that puts out an odd odor because of the weird piping that's gone in and has had to be like cut off because it was cut off. We finally figured it out. It took like how many years to figure this out?
I mean, 3 years of me being in there, but there was a history before that. So I haven't smelled it in months, y'all. It's so wonderful.
So, but it turns out like there's pipes that have been cut off or closed off that were never actually closed off. So if you have an empty pipe with just air, then that air gets rank, especially when it rains or other things happen. And we have pipe. It's a terrible building, and so it needs to go down. Anyway, that's all. But this building, actually, the structure of this building is great. That's why if we ever did any long-term like retrofitting, it would happen in a new build and retrofit this.
I just like to make a little comment about the heating. It doesn't have to be that hot in here. I mean, according to Chicago law, it just has to be, I think it's 67 or 68 degrees. And I'd rather see kids with clothes, if you know what I mean.
I hear, but again, this is the side of the building that is having the issues and it requires some of that adjustment at this point. And again, 75 is actually the top end, which is why we're baking. But the issue is if one room is something, then another room is something else sometimes, especially when they're trying to manage the main building a little bit better. But I do hear you and understand. Well, because that is like the heat is coming from that little vent up there, and the same thing that's coming, and that's the same thing that pumps into my office, and so it's on like the room. That one is doing the same temperature in a smaller room size of this closet. And there's where you can't be in that room physically. It happens. That's why that room will bake at some, because certain rooms are set at certain temperatures, and you can't. Like, the issue we had at a certain point about 5 years ago is every one of these vents was wired open, and so it was all or nothing, and it was very, very inconsistent. The range of inconsistency was a lot higher. Our engineers have done a lot of work. Mr. Cantori has been instead of just wiring all the things open and just blasting heat and turning it off, which is what the process was. It'd be super hot in the morning and super cold in the afternoon. They're actually trying to make things work using real thermostats that be retro. This one's actually an updated one compared to the other ones. Yeah, they are really paying some. They're doing really good work to try to make this happen. I know it's super frustrating, but they are really working hard.
Okay. I was going to bring it up if we didn't get to it. That's okay. So we had our meeting last Thursday, and the main matters that we discussed were the relationship of the ILT to the PPLC, to the instructional leadership team, to this group of teachers. And the overwhelming majority, I think there was consensus, is that there was a real need for transparency regarding the ILT initiatives, and we passed a motion that the ILT should routinely share its meeting agendas and minutes with LPHS staff. I tried running searches in as many Google places as I could find, and I could not find the agendas and minutes. So we would like for that to be transparent. There's subcommittees who are taking on different tasks, including investigating the possibility of like building out or reshaping the LPHS attendance policy. That subcommittee is working to build a survey just to ask teachers how they feel about our current attendance policy and how much effort we want to go into like perhaps rewriting it. Another subcommittee did participate in our PD day on Tuesday. They ran an info session about block scheduling, mostly just to inform teachers that this is something that we could do, and if we want to pursue the possibility of including a block schedule on our end of the year like scheduled vote, that it would be a lot of work. So we don't have a block schedule draft yet. And the whole purpose of this info session was to, again, take the temperature to see how much interest there was from staff members. There were 100 responses on the survey. Sorry, I'm real bad at math. So we had 100 responses, and 38 teachers were not interested in pursuing a block schedule. 62 teachers were interested in pursuing a block schedule to include in the vote. We did not vote on a block schedule, but we voted essentially to continue the conversation and to see like how it could be built out, because our programmer, Mr. Bliss, who's been doing awesome, has said that he can work on this, but it's a huge undertaking. So if it wasn't going to go anywhere, we didn't want to like give him a whole bunch of work to do. So now we're going to see what it might look like, and he's going to be reaching out, and he has already reached out to contacts at different schools to sort of see how it works and functions there. So yeah, there's that. That was.
Can
yes,
I just add the amount of teachers you said that like voted on it? That was more than half of you guys, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, we didn't get everyone's responses. There were a lot of teachers who weren't in the building, but yeah, it was a strong number. I honestly didn't know which way it was going to go. I was like, well, I guess we're really going to have to see. But some of the benefits include being a little bit easier to manage for students on a day-to-day basis. Instead of attending 7 different classes for shorter amounts of time, they're attending 4 of their classes. Depending on like what the model looks like, it might look a little different than that. And it also gives students, instructionally, it gives teachers and students more opportunities to engage in like longer term learning or to build out understanding over the course of, I don't know, if I'm speaking from experience, I have taught block schedule before. There are some things I really liked and some things that I was like, but some of the real advantages are like building that learning. It does take a lot of engineering to make it happen, because we have not done it at this school, I don't think, ever. And but it has like a lot of benefits. Some of the drawbacks are the complexity of just building the schedule in and of itself. In an era where student attention is already waning, maintaining a student's attention and engagement for 90 minutes can be a challenge. So just like instructionally, we would need to have a lot of professional development and collaboration around how do we make this shift in a meaningful way if it ends up being voted on. And that's what I can think of off the top of my head without pulling up the very long, honestly, like Mr. Pliss and then the subcommittee put together a really comprehensive list of benefits and drawbacks.
I was just gonna ask, I didn't know, like, I feel like a lot of times my kids are doing a lot of independent learning and homework in their classrooms as it is, like not so much like teachers instructing for a good chunk of the class. And so I just worry, like, with block scheduling and teachers have 90 minutes, are they gonna like teach for 40 and then students are independent group learning for the remainder of the 90 minutes?
I mean, I can only speak as an individual on this point.
Because it's a lot of prep work for a teacher to
It is a lot of
for that
prep
long
work,
time.
but it's also not prep work every single day. Like, it gives teachers a little bit more time to develop their lessons in between things, because if I'm teaching a block on Monday, I wouldn't see that group of students again until Wednesday, ostensibly. But there's an opportunity to do what's called flipping the classroom, which has actually been incredibly beneficial in a lot of ways. And what flipping the classroom looks like is when I was in high school, I would be sent home to write an essay, and my teachers just kind of hoped for the best. I also didn't have AI. But like flipping the classroom means that students might go home and do like the reading, but then they come in and we can facilitate like some of the hands-on practice. So I actually love to have students working on essays in the room, because then they're not emailing me at 8:30 at night, asking me questions that I'm not going to answer because I'm in bed by then. But like, so that it's depending on like how you're using that 90 minutes. And I absolutely know that there's going to be some potential of wasted time if there are block schedules. All teachers do things differently. And I don't know if even exploring the possibility of sitting in 90 minutes in a room with a substitute could also be an interesting experience. So lots of benefits, lots of drawbacks. I think it's complicated. And I think that teachers indicating that they're interested in this doesn't necessarily indicate that we will vote positively at the end of this school year. But I think it means that we're starting to think about that. Personally, I love a shakeup every couple of years, so it makes me look back at my curriculum and redevelop things and make sure that I'm not falling into an instructional rut or a learning rut for students either. So there's some real opportunities for revisiting things and could actually force some revisiting of curriculum, which is a benefit that I see.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, in terms of transition, right, going from a traditional schedule that we have now to a block schedule, like teachers would have to recreate their lesson plans, right? Essentially.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. So, like, I can't imagine what the transition would look like.
And this is something that, like, I fully support the explorations of it, but I say it, so I need to like come back to the team and talk to clarify. I would not encourage us to vote to do it next year. we are not prepared for it. The teachers would require, we would have to set up professional learning throughout the entire year to be able to start shifting their units into what that looks like to do this effectively. So I think some people are really excited about it, but we have 140 teachers. So you're talking about totally rewriting all units, and we're doing some really good work of trying to like build cohesion around that right now. But you're talking about redesigning literally everything from the ground up, which is fun, but it requires time. And so I would encourage, like, if there's a process through the union to vote, like, hey, we want to do this and vote this spring. I don't know if it's even possible for SY 28. And then we kind of are like saying we're in it. We're gonna do it for that year, and we can align it. I think that would be awesome. But I would not encourage like we all else to do it.
Yeah, and we've talked about that more informally on the PPLC as well. I don't anticipate that if the block schedule makes it onto our vote at the end of the school year that it would be voted in, because I think that there is a real need for like a slower transition, a thoughtful transition into that. Unfortunately, like in terms of like language, like we have to put schedules on a vote, and honestly, I think it's a good thing that we're having this conversation now. Like I said, I personally don't think that it would get voted in for next school year. I think it would be like a more gradual transition. But in terms of like language, it has to be phrased in some ways.
When does programming get done? When does Mr. Bliss do
It's never.
No, it never ends. But like, when does it?
I mean, so I mean, we've already started the process. Teachers are making recommendations right now. Next Wednesday they'll meet with students about what class choices they're making, and then we start really churning these things out. Like the main part of it gets done around Quick Start. But there's still, it continues because new students are enrolling. So it's sort of always a continual process. There isn't really like this stoppage point. That's why it's a full-time position, because yeah, but it starts now. Like like right now, he's already doing a build, like working on processes to build like the matrix of when classes. The teacher recommendations that are going on right now will inform how many sections we have. So then and it's not always like you have 12 of this. It fluctuates, and that's part of having student voice, is that changes. So that is continual. So that's like also for the defense of our programmers, have a programmer of having like that predictability of transitioning into what he's prepping for right now is really a standard what we have right now. So if he would need that kind of year to think start making those adjustments too. That's why I would say, like, if there's a way to even vote for SY 28 now, saying we want to move forward, that would be different. I don't think it would get approved if we just. I actually wouldn't encourage it. I would probably try to help work with the team to kind of say, hey, this isn't the right time. But the PPC and I, which is the union and I, come identify two models. So PPLC can make a recommendation, but I would still have to agree to it. In short, and then PPSC, they could make it where that block schedule, and then what we're doing now, because what we are doing now is actually not the schedule. The district CTU and district put out a standard 1 through 8 day, consistent every period, every day. It's X, Y, and Z. That's option 1. We actually vote to do a separate option to do our flex days for professional learning. So like if we were to put it up, it would be our option we're doing kind of now is what I would say. And if the PBC said, heck, we want not option 1, but want block, that would be the alternative. I mean, that could be a path, but I would be very concerned about the professional learning needed to do it effectively. As somebody who has taught with also in a block, it's a lot of work. It's when it kicks out and you're doing the stuff, it's great. The day goes by really fast. You're set.
Would the block scheduling allow for advisory, and also, like, I know at a lot of schools. What?
It's a separate vote.
Oh, because I know at a lot of these schools, like I was with someone whose kid is at Peyton, and I know they do this at Whitney. They have so many opportunities for kids built into the school day, for clubs, for volunteering. I did a talk on mental health for this mental health club at Whitney at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's like they have these opportunities that give their kids an advantage over ours in terms of involvement. And I think we need to look at more ways that we could build some of that into the school day.
So there's tons of different models, and it is hard to say like what would work with our very unique needs of a school. But that is one of the things that got me kind of like more excited about looking into this was like Peyton, for example, has like that enrichment at the end of their day. Whereas like one of the things, like if you look at our EOS data, one of the things that kind of holds some students back from wanting to take higher level classes is lack of homework time or lack of time with teachers. So like there's an enrichment period that could be built in that gives them that time. So like short answer is like that could be in the block schedule we would vote on, or it could not be. It just kind of depends on what model would come to fruition if a million things lined up.
Well, I'm glad you guys are having that conversation. It seems like it's a very intriguing look at our schedule and what we can potentially do, but that we would have to do a transition process to make it really work. All right, so yeah, go for it.
Is that only administration teacher vote, or will parents also be the same?
It's actually, I actually don't vote. I work with the union to determine the two options that teachers vote on, but it's entirely actually up to the teacher.
Right. Well, I think that's all of the committee reports, right? I'm so sorry, Principal Steinmiller, we left you to the very end.
That's fine.
Do you want to do your?
This was kind of great to kind of all the other conversations, so I can try to be as concise as humanly possible. There are basically kind of three major things that I want to discuss for principal's report. Well, hopefully I will keep this concise. There's two very important ones to kick off. I sent an email to you, and I felt it was important to bring it up in this space. And I kind of give you the timeline of what will happen after. But I did send an email to you that our athletic director, who has done an absolutely amazing job, and I just can't speak more highly of athletic director Wheeler for what she has done in a very short amount of time to build stability and consistency in structures. And also, I know Ms. Morris stepped out, but I truly appreciate the combination of both of them working cohesively to make this work. If it is a single person trying to do it, we will never have a candidate in that spot ever that is of any quality. We were lucky to have had AD Wheeler here for the time that we did, because she has so many extensive skill sets that go well beyond just a single school level athletic director. And so obviously when the district level opportunity came for her outside of Chicago Public Schools, she took advantage of that. Honestly, I was cheering for her to take over the entire district of Chicago Public Schools, because I think she has that skill set as well, and just has done some fantastic things to create stability. And also we see it in our programs and the outcomes that are coming out. But we also, I think this speaks to, well, first I just want to thank her. I know she's not here, but I'm thank you. I would definitely want her to be. No, she will be a part of the process of what we're doing. She will finish out the school year. She doesn't start till the end, so we will be able to have solid spring things and set ourselves up for the fall. The timeline is I will send communication out to our school community. My timeline was to send the email to you to talk in this space. I will send communication out to the overall community about the appreciation for AD Wheeler, but also that she'll be transitioning to a district position outside of CPS, and that we will immediately start our hiring process. We already have some names of some good candidates that would be positive to come in, but we will start a very formal and public process for that hiring to make sure we have a strong candidate coming in to continue the work, especially with the infrastructure that is already in place. And so that will be started. But I also want to make sure that we have just communication, and I don't want the announcement of her moving on be a distraction from like the things that are happening right now, the championship game tomorrow and some other winter celebrations. So as we transition from winter into about now is the time I really want to. So I'm not going to send that communication out tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be about the games that are going on. But next week will be a big push for filling the spot. And you'll see that communication. You'll be included in all that. But I still want to just emphasize that both Wheeler and Morris have done an awesome job of supporting and helping with the hiring process and bringing people in, addressing gaps or issues that come up when you don't have a funded athletic program in a district. And that is extremely frustrating when you just think about the inequities of what other programs outside of Chicago Public Schools have. And I was addressing kind of the media thing with ABC, but we have awesome programs. Our dance team is doing an awesome job. A couple of years, like 2-3 years ago, we gave $25,000 to pay for their trip for them to go to Florida because they were just starting their program and didn't have an infrastructure. We provided those funds so they could start. We've done the same things with other programs at different years. But I think as an LSC, we don't have the breadth of funds to be able to sustain athletics in any way whatsoever. And I think I acknowledge that I gotta give up. Like I can't it's not fair. Every year, I was at $20-something thousand to a different team, and that meant $20-something thousand that wasn't going to our academic programs. And that's got to be my number one priority is what's taking place in the classroom, because we focus on developing scholar athletes, and I have to think that from a funding standpoint. And that's why we made such a massive shift with Wheeler and her support of what teams are just going to have to do and how they have their internal boosters and what that work looks like. And we're seeing a lot of success from that model in a sustainable way, because our athletic boosters is now able to build funding to do our scoreboards, which not only helps our teams, but also helps our people to have some of these resources. So it's a team effort, and it's going to be a continual long journey. But where we have grown in a year, 2, 3, not to call Cromer was teaching full classes and an athletic director. It's just that was not possible. I don't know how, first of all, I did it.
Not well.
But it's that model doesn't work for what we want to do here to build the programs that you're seeing the success from. And so I just wanted to emphasize, one, my appreciation, two, just your continued support as an LSC to reinforce these programs. That was my part one.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Yeah.
So one thing that I think is kind of exciting, but also a little nerving, and something I think we all need to make sure we're paying attention to is it's definitely not a turnkey operation. Wheeler did great, and there's a lot of really good things in place. We just need to make sure that doesn't get lost somewhere. We've so many times just started over from scratch, and I think this is the best opportunity for that not to happen. Likewise, I think whether it's with Miss Wheeler or another group entirely or whoever, while Miss Wheeler was fixing 10,000 things, we also recognize there's 1,000 other things that can be fixed as well too. Francine brought up a couple issues. So I think it's also important to have an idea of whenever that new person comes in, here are also some priority areas that we need to fix now. Yeah, like I said, it sucks, but it's also kind of exciting that somebody gets to take the job not from scratch.
Yeah, there are some long-term things that I think even somebody coming in that has a vision of that work. Right now, we're trying to balance Maradona Field, for example, of having 5 teams play on one field at the same time because of limited space. Through boys, girls lacrosse, and then JV, fresh, and varsity soccer, and space limitations. And that's those are things that we're trying to balance out and work through and find any spot anywhere. But again, now a lot of those extra spaces are asking. And so those are some, I think whoever comes in, those are the next edges of our growth, just as you're aware of what we would ask from that person has kind of a vision for balancing that out. We have every one of our gyms used for one thing or another till we can't have, we could go until midnight, but that's not realistic, right? At 6:30 we need our students to be able to study and not to be at school. Right, so we can't just keep pushing that practice time even further, just to be able to accommodate limited space options. So we're going to get very creative. We're going to continue to be creative, but I think the push will be how do we create more sustainable options. Even today, there's a field that I was I need to talk to Wheeler about and see if we can try to book it for lacrosse and maybe split up the donut Maradona. But anyway, those are going to be some of the things that we'll continue to focus on in the new AD. We'll work with. Again, the benefit of also having Morris here too is we aren't losing the institutional knowledge of some of that work too. It's really helpful to have someone to help lift up the torch. So that was my number one point. I really want to highlight that because we made so many advances, and the impact of extracurriculars, athletics on student success is extremely high. Number two is the CIWP process. We are starting that for our next 3 years. That is a major role of the LSC because you approved it in the end. Should be aligned to our budget. We're continuing with that. We are limited to having 12 people on the main CIWP team. I sent some emails trying to find different groups like PPLC. So you have to put it as the chair. Trying to find some different groups to bring the group together to have some representation from different areas. We will have subcommittees so other people can be involved in it. But we're starting that process now. Getting the data together, and I'm really excited about this because I think also the conversation, for example, like PPLC and ILT, how can we build even more increased focused area, unified focus? And there's some, I have some ideas, but actually I'm taking a step a little bit back. So I want the team to engage with the data, not me pushing one thing or another, and really see how we have some things come out of it. And I'm excited about this year. So that's taking place, but it's important you know that timeline as it will align with our budget, or should align with our budget. I can't make any promises about tools and that. We've had years where the tools didn't come out until the fall, and it was supposed to have already been enacted. So there's been some real weird things that come from the district on rollouts, but so far we are moving forward at pace to be able to have this team vote on our CIP.
I'm so sorry. Maybe I missed the email. Do you have a timeline?
Yeah, there's sort of like we have several developmental sessions over the, I don't have it right in front of me, but a series of events of kind of data processing, root cause, and now doing things in a way that we're looking at information and not just saying, here's our plan, but here's why our plan is leading what it is. And so the initial one, the CIWP team of the 12 will be the initial part, and then we'll start breaking out into subgroups. So it's all kind of in that timeline. So this semester is where it would be completed.
Again, I don't know when the dates are.
Well, there. You got it. So CIWP was the other really, these are the two big ones, athletics and CIWP. Again, consistent with that, we're rolling out our professional learning, which I think is always important. I want to save it for the principal's report because I really appreciate the teachers. Is brought up our PPLC. We had rotating sessions, heavily led and driven by our teachers sharing practices. So our PPLC had Ms. Kaler and Ms. Crown who were talking about block schedule options in a 30-minute rotation. It was awesome. You had Mr. Fieri talking about arts integration within the classroom. You had Mr. Necky and Mr. Beeler talking about questioning and discussion practices in the classroom. You had Mr. Pliss and Ms. Murphy and Mr. Merle talking about our programming steps and items that were taking place there. We had our coordinators share the same presentation that was shared with you, shared with our teachers. So I really just appreciated the engagement of our teachers willing to do that, but also our teachers in their way they participated. I popped into the sessions regularly, and it wasn't this. It wasn't. It was real engagement of our teachers, and it was really awesome. And I was kind of excited just about how we're going with that. But those are some things that will also inform how we start doing things over the next 3 years through our CIWP. Because the one mandated CIWP process is curriculum instruction. That is mandated by the district. So those are some of the things I think we'll continue to do more of the syncing of PPLC, ILT, SLT, and so forth. So that's what we're moving forward. I haven't heard anything about budget and budget release, but the month is April that they say that we'll receive it, but I can't believe it. But that just it seems to be what keeps being chirped out there. Some of the things I will say here as an LSC that I want to share is I have the opportunity again to be a part of the principal advisory committee for the district. One of the things that continue to be a concern of all principals is just coherence of the district. People are quitting and all of who is leading things every day. And so there is just becoming a lack of coherence of this is not talking to this on a more regular basis, which is extremely frustrating. And I think it's important you know that from a principal's perspective, the impact that has on when a teacher needs something and I try to go somewhere else, I can't. You saw how long it took me to get in touch with communications. So like, but they did respond great. But you know, I actually had to go through a Rolodex of people that weren't there anymore to get to the people that were. Those are just like an example of things that just are more complicated than they used to be. So that's my principal's report.
I also just want to piggyback on that. LSC forum happening next week. It's Thursday. The election is happening on March 19th. And we've got some information on the state contact with people for continuity's sake. I will be taking down the chair. And I want everybody here to be thinking about who's going to take the chair position next year, because I think it's good to have consider others.
And a shout out to Lovinggood for being the for throwing her hat in again. And
Do we have students running? I know that was a concern.
We have 6 or 7 students. I'm not sure, 6 or 7 that have applied. Miss Morris is the coordinator. I don't know why I keep back. She's there, but she wasn't there. We had kind of reboot. We had quite a.
There was a thing last year though where it was like LSC got out info really late, if I remember correctly, so there was a little bit of an issue that we worked out 2 years ago.
There's been this one's pretty consistent, but it's also within the same cycle that everybody else is on. I think when you have the off years and it's not, it's where it's not as emphasized. Of the
You mean
election.
when you're trying to fill a spot
Yeah.
that's not a formal, it's not a formal election. It's just.
Kind of lost.
I think so. That concludes what we have on the agenda. Public participation to close out this LSC meeting. Nobody's in the audience here in person. Is there anyone
Not even that
online?
Let me look at my computer.
Please.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, take the microphone maybe.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all know, I am an election judge, and I want to make sure everybody gets out there and votes on the 17th of March. This primary is very important, and I know that whoever wins these primaries is probably going to win the general, just the way Chicago votes. But I highly recommend do your research and go and vote. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Chad.
March 17th.
Good for you.
What a good Samaritan.
Yeah. Also, I know that someone said tomorrow is the poster club going on. Also during 4th and 5th period in Mr. Young's room, we're going to have a very talented alum who's been in the dance choreographer, music industry for 30 some years. He just performed in the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga. I'll be introducing him during 4th and 5th period. Andy Lyric Cruz, that's his name. So yeah, that's exciting. I was telling the dance team when they were here that he's going to be there. They're like, yeah, we know. We're trying to get our teacher to.
Great. Anybody online? 4 people who are online. Anyone want to participate in public comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing as no one's raised their hand, do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? Motion by Amy, seconded by. All right, all those in favor of adjourning? Yes, thank you guys very much.
Before 6.
Look at that, under
Nice
2
work.
hours.
Yeah, well done. And that was actually with me like dealing with communications for 15, 20 minutes.
No, just kidding.
I'll call the news every I think I need you to. I left it in the office, but to sign the 2 things.
Yeah, do you have those there?
No, I grabbed the wrong pile.